Hey, so one of the things I saw in the group was a thought, I need to just believe harder. How many of you guys have heard this one? And if you haven't, that's okay. This video is still totally applicable to you. But one of the things that I like to do with mindset work is I like to look at the actual words and figure out what they mean. This thought, I have to believe harder, it's a lot like saying, I'm not doing it good enough, or I'm just too much. It's ambiguous words that don't actually tell your brain what needs to change. And so one of the ways you want to learn to speak to yourself is teaching your brain how to say words that your brain understands and knows what to do with next. Okay. So we have, I need to believe harder, but I want to introduce you to another way of thinking about that one statement because I need to believe harder is a thought, but it could also go in as an action, right? Like, what do I need to do? I need to believe harder. And so then your brain is left when it's in action wondering, but how do I do that? And we don't want to leave those kind of loops in your brain, right? Just like sometimes when we say the words massive action, it can be one of those things where our brain's like, yeah, good idea. And then it's like, but what does that mean? Right? And then you like waddle off to go do something else. So the opposite, I don't even know if it's the opposite, but a contrast to believing harder is believing full circle. Now, what does that mean? We talked about it today in the coaching. And what that means is that you believe, but you practice believing in all of the three areas, right? You believe in yourself as a coach. You believe in what you're selling. You believe that people are waiting and want it. You expand out to the fourth area, which is believing in your tools, like as mindset, right? Like that it's all your thoughts. That every problem is a thought problem. That if you're running into and not getting your own results, you're not getting the result you want, it's because of a thought or feeling that's causing you to take or not take action. Or it's causing your action to not get the result, right? To not work the way you want, to not create the result you want. So the fourth area of belief is that it all comes back to your thoughts. Now, the fifth area of believing is believing in and thinking about the people you're serving. Where are they at in their thoughts, in their feelings? What are they doing or not doing? What are the results they're getting or aren't getting? And how does what you come in, like what do you bring to the table to help them make a change? Okay. So believing full circle tells your brain what to do specifically differently, what to do differently. And so I want to show you here because the first step to this is to recognize where you're at in the process. So right now, you might have a goal, right? So let's just stay for last week. Because if we're trying to evaluate, you're either going to do this on a Friday or maybe you're doing it on the weekend for the last week. So today is Monday. Let's just say you're doing this current model and you're using it to look at last week. Oh, this is this week, but we're going to say last week. And so we're constraining it into a time frame. And what we know is that last week you created 0 clients. Okay. For this right here, I want you to get really specific with yourself. What did you do to create 0 clients? What did you not do? Maybe you had an idea for an email, but you didn't write it. Maybe you posted something on social media, but it was from a place of obligation. This is actually a really interesting thing to break out because if you wrote your action you took, and then you broke down, like, why did I take the action? What was I thinking in that moment? What was I feeling in that moment? Was it that like blah, like get it done on the to-do list? Or was it like thinking about the people you're serving, helping them, not being attached, like, like, no, I'm going to put this out here. This is just so good. And I want you to just be honest with yourself here. Because it can go both ways. You can be like, no, I'm actually doing a really great job of creating content from the space of just serving them. And now I'm just coming in here very neutrally and I want to understand why it's not creating the result that I want. You can put both of those things in here, but you want to know that there are two different ways and be aware of which one you're approaching your action from. And then the next thing you can look at is like, what were the predominant feelings you had last week? in your business? Did you feel pressured? Did you feel rushed? Did you feel confused, overwhelmed, frustrated? Did you feel love? Did you feel commitment? Did you feel curious? Did you feel inspired? And then what were some of the thoughts you thought to create those feelings? Okay, so when you start by looking at this stuff, often what our brains want us to do is if they're like, well, I didn't get the result that I wanted, so I probably need to change my actions. But you don't, right? You're going to do some basic stuff. You're going to post, you're going to believe, you're going to evaluate, you're going to pivot. Maybe you're going to go do some in-person stuff. Maybe you'll write a blog post. I don't know. You're going to do the thing you do, right? The thing that's worked in the past that you know works, it's just currently not creating the result you want, right? So we don't have to get fancy with the what you're doing. You can keep doing basically the same thing. But what needs to change is how you're feeling. Okay? And I want you to see this, right? When we believe full circle, like what if believing full circle, part of that was trying on different emotions? So maybe this was the one emotion you tried. Maybe it was excited. Everybody always thinks that they're going to grow their business with excitement. So I want you to just try it. You're going to try excited and you're just going to see, does it help me create the result that I want? And then if it doesn't, right, you're going to come back to the T and F line and you're going to say, okay, I'm going to try on the feeling of steady. I'm going to try on the feeling of love. I'm going to try on the feeling of curious. I'm going to try on the feeling of determined. I'm going to try on the feeling of passionate. I'm going to try on the feeling of curious. And then you're going to tie them to some thoughts. And the beautiful thing about starting with emotion is that, I mean, you could have hundreds of different thoughts. These little lines are thoughts, obviously. You could have tons of different thoughts that come from the emotions. Okay. And so you're just looking at like what created the result that I had. It's for sure. You guys, don't think that because you didn't get the result you wanted, that means that none of your thoughts and feelings are working. I want you to look at this like you're going through Halloween candy. It's all candy, right? It's all fine. But some of the candy creates the result you want and some of it doesn't. Some of the candy you like better than others, right? This is the comparison, liking versus getting the results. And so there's some of them that are working, but often they're being drugged down by thoughts and feelings that aren't working. Those are the ones that are often the most predominant. And they can be as simple as, this isn't working. I don't know what to do. I must be doing something wrong. And the feelings that go with them. So when you're looking at this just from a very neutral place, that's how I want you to explore, what else can I believe? What else can I practice feeling? Because when you get over here and this is just your model, when you have a goal and you create it, the what you did is going to be very boring. It's just going to be very boring. You're going to have trained your brain to believe in the ways you needed to believe to create that result. And we don't ever get to know the thought and the feeling before we do them. We don't ever get to know what action you tried or how you like tweaked it in order to create the result you wanted, right? We don't know what thought and feeling motivated the action tweak that motivated you to do it quicker. We just don't get to know that. And that's okay, right? You have to be okay with that being okay. One final note is that when you do create the result you want, when you create a consult, when you create a client, you always want to nail down, what was I thinking and feeling? What did I stop thinking and feeling? What was I so focused on thinking and feeling that I forgot to think about? Because this is you building the proof for your own brain that you created it. Because you could create this result, you could forget how you did it, right? What was I thinking and feeling? I don't remember. And then when it's time to do it again, you still have the muscle memory of it, but sometimes it just takes longer then because you're trying to get your brain back into that space. Don't do that. Every time you create the result you want, nail it down. Oh, I just posted on social media and 10 people replied, 20 people replied. What was I thinking and feeling? Somebody just booked a consult with me. How did I create that consult? What have I been thinking and feeling to create them? Did I do anything different? Because what you're going to uncover is you never do anything radically different. Sometimes the thing you're doing, like a free training, isn't the reason somebody even comes to you. Like you're doing this thing over here and they come walking in from over here and you're like, wait a minute, I was very clearly taking this action. And the model's like, you don't get to know. Okay? Hope that helps. Believing harder versus believing full circle.